I get an email that says, I'm spraying paint. What do I block? What do I use and what do I do? And my first question is define paint. And it's kind of funny, they're like, what are you talking about? Well, all right. We've got the powdered milk paint mixed with water. General Finishes has one called milk paint. It's not. It's a name. This is a milk paint basically because I guess it's got powdered milk in it. I don't know. This is called paint. This is a black acrylic. But what this is, and this is what you've seen us shooting in some of the procedural things, it's simply a tinted finish. They put a pigment in a finish. Paint. Here's a solvent base. Again, this is a lacquer tinted white. Has a pigment in it. It's paint. Then we have our typical latex paints, house paint. Now, this is a Gemini product, but I can go to Gemini and pretty much have it made in pretty much any color I want. If you go to General Finishes website, you can get the tinted paint in about any color you want. You know, Sherwin-Williams, M.L. Campbell, any of the solvent manufacturers, they all make paint. But in your world and in the typical average world, having to go order this stuff online and all of this and all of that, that's a little time consuming and it can get pricey. Now that said, one of the things with the finishes that have a pigment in them, you're pretty much done. Meaning it's kind of all inclusive. I am going to tell you this, however. I've found that the sheen and feel of them, because of that pigment in there, isn't what I really like. I want something a little more. So I always top coat them with a clear coat. Do you have to? No. But I like it better. But what I want to focus on, and so these are kind of self-explanatory. If you can get them, they're out there, they're easy to use. I mean, this is just like shooting a lacquer. This is just like spraying a water-based finish. It just has a pigment in it. Now, we talked about MDF, and we've done the segment out here on Ben and shellac and whatever. These are our primers that we like under paint. I am going to say this. I'm just going to say it. The milk paint that General Finishes makes, and again, this isn't a commercial. The texture of it, the way it lays out, it's expensive. It's real expensive. This isn't something, I don't think this is something you want to go paint in your house with. But furniture and whatever, it's pretty nice. It's real nice. Now, in this segment, we're going to be spraying the paint. Now, when we get into there will be a segment on hand-applied finishes, brushes, and things, so forth. We'll be doing it by hand. But right now, we're just going to spray it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to back up, and we're simply going to use latex paint. Now I have an ulterior, whatever it is, motive for doing this. And my motive is that piece of MDF that we did the bends on, we're going to do a piano finish on it. And probably the best way to show a piano finish is with a black. I'm talking that black, beautiful, but I'm going to show you something. So we're going to take a latex paint and we're going to use it in a furniture application. Then we're going to take a latex paint and use it in a wall situation. The first thing we have to do is we have to know that a latex paint is thick. I mean, they're made to be put on with rollers and a brush. So, I mean, this stuff is pretty thick. This is black. Now, there's one problem with a black in a latex paint. Actually, it's a problem with a lot of blacks. They're not real black. They kind of have a purple look to them. A lot of your blacks are really just a super, super dark blue. And a lot of times, what they'll do is, you know, when you get them on, they get this little purple cast to it. Well, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, and I don't need a lot, so I'm going to pull me off a little bit of paint. All right, got my ladle. The reason I'm using the ladle is, I'll be real honest with you, I'm a slob when it comes to gallon. I mean, oh, I can make a mess. Now, when I'm using a latex paint for furniture, I prefer a flat. Now, why do I prefer a flat? You know, one of the things with the latex paint, latex paint seems to never totally dry hard. It's always a little pliable. You know, you can paint a bunch of shells with latex paint, let them dry a week or whatever, stack one on top of the other, a little heat, they'll bond together. Yeah. So now I'm going to mention something. In a latex paint also, they have a product called Floetrol. And it's designed to make latex paint flow out better. On a wall, fine. In furniture, no. It seems to, again, leave that little bit of softness to it. Now, you can't, that said, in furniture, while you can paint it with latex paint and use a semi-gloss or whatever, and call it done, you really don't have a really good furniture finish. It's a wall finish. And I always top coat it. In the furniture, what we're going to do, we're using this latex paint purely as a colorant. Just to get a color. That's it. From there, we're going to go to a water-based finish on top of it. Now, for years and years, I'm probably going to hear about this one, but I got a lot of friends do the same thing. If you use a flat, get your color on, let it dry a couple days, and you want to put a solvent base, like a lacquer over top of it, works fine. Works just no problem. Did it for years. Works. All you after is the color. So if you're painting a set of kitchen cabinets or something like that, again, all you want to do is get the color, then go to your clear finish. You don't want to get a huge buildup of the latex. Because the top coat, number one, is going to kind of migrate into it, harden it, and the top coat is going to be your protection. You're simply using the latex as a color. All right, but it's too thick. Now back in the segment we did about viscosity and straining and all of that, we told you that one of the best ways is to take a medium mesh strainer, and if you can pour it in, and it will come out about as fast as you pour it in, reasonably, you're in good shape. Now this ladle, just a gravy ladle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, I've got 2 ladles, and I'm gonna add just about 2/3 of water to it. I'm gonna go easy. I'll do a little mixing here. Now the other thing you're going to find when you start mixing a latex paint and you start putting water in it, first thing you're going to notice, you got to stir a little bit to get it intermixed. Kind of the same thing with a water-based finish. I mean, they've got all kind of other chemistry in there. Now just that little bit of water, let's see how we're doing. And you know, different paints are going to be thicker. Now what am I talking about? When you read on the can and it says ultra hiding, heavy, whatever, the paint's often thicker, and sometimes you got to thin a little bit more. The ultra hiding also sometimes has to do with how much pigment's in it. Now this is a Glidden, and I think the other one over here is a Do It Best, and that's because there happens to be a Do It Best hardware down the street. And the Glidden is because I stopped at Lowe's or Home Depot, needed some black when I was doing the book, and that's what I got. I'm not a, latex paint's kind of latex paint to me. All right, that did fine. So what I'm going to do with this is I've got my gravity fed over here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to put this latex paint in it. Oops, I forgot something, guys. Forgive me, give me a minute. I got to back up. I got ahead of myself. That happens sometimes. I was telling you about how, I mean, I can look in the filter. I doubt you can see on camera, but it kind of has a grayish, little purple look to it. Let me back up here. I can fix that. Now this is a black only. Here's our magic ingredient for black. Go to the craft store, some India ink. There's nothing blacker than India ink. I can't even show you on camera, but I can actually see the India ink, how much blacker it is as it mixes in. Now, for black, could you take a water-based finish and add India ink to it as a toner spray? You know, kind of adding it as a pigment? Yeah, you could. Take a fair amount. You're not going to see it on camera, but I can see the difference in the color on the stick immediately. Whole lot blacker. I just can't, yeah, you can't, the glare, you just can't see it. All right, so I put you know, 2 gravy ladles, I'm about to here, a little bit of water. Again, the test, you know, I don't have a magic formula. Again, all these paints can be different thicknesses. Thin it enough, you can get it through that strainer, you'll be all right. Now we can load it up. Now what I'm going to do, probably make a mess, but nobody does it better. This is the Apollo pressurized cup. I've switched it to a 2.0 needle nozzle. I don't know how thick this is. Well, look. Now, one of the things, if you're thinning a latex paint, you want to go light. If not, you know, we've talked a lot about how paint has surface tension, or water has surface tension. And, you know, if you're spraying sheetrock or something, and you get a lot of water in there, you start spraying it, you're going to see this thing just kind of go everywhere. That's pretty thick. What do you think? That's a little thick to spray. So I'm going to have to get another container and I'm going to thin it just a little bit.